It all started on a regular Saturday afternoon, just me and my brother hanging out at home. He had this mischievous grin on his face, the kind that always meant trouble was brewing. I have an idea, he said, holding up his phone like it was some kind of magic wand. I should have known better than to listen, but he had a way of roping me into his wild schemes. That's when he pointed to our dog, Max. Max, the goofy, lovable golden retriever who couldn't resist wagging his tail at the slightest hint of excitement. My brother's eyes lit up with this strange enthusiasm as he laid out his brilliant plan. He wanted us to film a funny video for social media, something he was convinced would go viral. At first, I laughed it off. What could possibly be so funny about involving Max? But the more he talked, the more uneasy I felt. His idea wasn't dangerous or cruel. Don't get me wrong, we love Max more than anything. But it was bizarre, something that didn't sit right with me. Come on, it's harmless, he said, nudging me. People will love it. He made it sound so easy, so innocent, and part of me wanted to believe him. But deep down, I knew this was the kind of thing that could backfire in ways we couldn't predict. Still, against my better judgment, I found myself going along with it. He grabbed Max's favorite toy, set up the camera, and gave me a look that said, "Trust me." My heart raced as we started filming, the whole time wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. As the camera started rolling, my brother whispered, "Just follow my lead." I couldn't help but notice the excitement in his voice. Max, as usual, was wagging his tail like crazy, thinking this was just another playtime session. But I felt the weight of uncertainty growing with every passing second. My brother handed me Max's squeaky toy and said, "All right, let's make this fun. Trust me, people will love it." The plan sounded simple enough, but the way he kept emphasizing how viral this would go made me uneasy. He had been spending hours watching those over-the-top prank videos online, convinced this was our ticket to becoming famous. I didn't want to crush his excitement, but something about this felt off. I mean, we'd always been close, sharing inside jokes and teaming up for harmless shenanigans. But this idea seemed different, like it was walking a fine line between funny and embarrassing. As I played along, Max jumped around, clueless but happy to be the center of attention. My brother, on the other hand, kept giving me cues, gesturing for me to act a certain way or say something that felt over the top. "More energy," he said, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. But the more we filmed, the more I felt like I was putting on a performance I didn't fully understand. Then he asked me to do something unexpected. He handed me a small bag and told me to hold it up to Max, like I was about to give him a treat. At first, I didn't think much of it. It's Max, after all, and he loves treats. But as the camera zoomed in and my brother started narrating his exaggerated version of what was happening, I realized this wasn't about Max at all. This was about creating a moment so ridiculous, so out there, that people wouldn't be able to stop talking about it. "Just trust me," he said again, laughing nervously. But I wasn't sure I could. The scene was escalating into something I didn't fully understand, and the pressure to keep going was mounting. Max, oblivious to the tension, sat there with his goofy grin, waiting for his treat. Meanwhile, my stomach churned with a mix of nerves and doubt. What exactly was my brother trying to pull here? And why did it feel like we were crossing some invisible line? As I stood there holding the bag, my brother's energy seemed to shift. His usual playful grin was now replaced with a focused determination, like this video had become more than just a silly experiment. "All right," he said, pointing the camera directly at me. "Now act surprised, like something amazing just happened." I hesitated. What amazing thing was supposed to happen? Max sat patiently, tilting his head in that curious way dogs do. completely unaware of the brewing tension. Wait, I said, lowering the bag slightly. What exactly are we doing here? My brother sighed, frustrated but trying to keep his composure. Trust me, okay? It's all about the reaction. People love reactions. Just play along. But the way he avoided answering my question made me even more uneasy. This wasn't like our usual fun pranks or silly games. He was hiding something, and I could feel it. Then, as if on cue, Max let out a loud bark, breaking the awkward silence. My brother jumped on the moment. Perfect. Do that again, but this time look shocked, like you just realized something crazy. I stared at him, confused. Realized what? I asked. He chuckled nervously, not meeting my eyes. Just trust me. It'll all come together when I edit it. I glanced at Max, who was now pawing at the bag, clearly more interested in treats than in whatever bizarre video we were creating. My gut was screaming at me to stop, but I didn't want to let my brother down. He had always been the dreamer, the one with big ideas, and this was his latest obsession. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this than he was letting on. As we continued filming, little details started to stick out. The way my brother kept glancing at his phone, like he was checking a script. The way he positioned the camera to capture every awkward angle. And the way he kept saying, "This is gonna blow up," like he already knew how people would react. I wanted to trust him, I really did. But the more we filmed, the more I felt like I was being pulled into something I didn't fully understand. By the time we finished the final shot, my nerves were shot. My brother looked thrilled, already talking about uploading the video and watching the views roll in. But I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that whatever we'd just done was going to spiral into something much bigger, and not in a good way. As soon as my brother hit stop on the camera, he was grinning from ear to ear. "This is it," he said, practically bouncing with excitement. "This is the one that's gonna change everything." He grabbed the memory card and darted to his room, muttering something about editing before the moment lost its spark. Meanwhile, I sat there with Max, staring at the now empty treat bag and trying to process what had just happened. Max nudged my leg, his usual signal that he wanted more treats, completely oblivious to the whirlwind of confusion in my head. What exactly had we just filmed? My brother's vague answers and insistence on keeping me in the dark were gnawing at me. Normally, I trusted him. We'd always been partners in crime, teaming up for everything from backyard adventures to late-night gaming marathons. But this time felt different. It felt calculated. The sound of my brother's laughter echoing from his room pulled me out of my thoughts. I crept closer, curious but also hesitant. As I peeked through the door, I saw him hunched over his laptop, headphones on, clicking through the footage with a look of pure satisfaction. "This is gold," he muttered to himself, rewinding and rewatching certain parts. I couldn't help but feel like I was watching a stranger, not the brother I grew up with. I knocked lightly on the door. "What's so funny?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He spun around, startled, and quickly minimized the screen. "Nothing, just editing," he said, a little too quickly. "You'll see when it's done." His evasiveness only made me more suspicious. "Why won't you just tell me what we're doing here?" I pressed. He sighed, clearly annoyed. "Because it's better if you don't overthink it. Trust me, people are gonna eat this up." But I couldn't let it go. Is this gonna make me look stupid? Or Max? Because if it is, he cut me off, shaking his head. "Relax. It's harmless. I promise." Still, I couldn't shake the unease. Later that evening, I saw him uploading the video, his hands practically shaking with excitement. As I watched the progress bar inch forward, a pit formed in my stomach. This wasn't just some funny dog video. There was something else at play, and I couldn't help but feel like whatever came next was going to change everything. As the upload bar hit 100% and the video went live, my brother leaned back in his chair, a triumphant smile spreading across his face. "Now we wait," he said, barely containing his excitement. I stood behind him, arms crossed, still uneasy about the whole thing. "What exactly are we waiting for?" I asked, trying to mask my frustration. He didn't even look at me, too focused on refreshing the page every few seconds. "You'll see," he said cryptically. "It's only a matter of time before the comments start rolling in." Max, lying at my feet, let out a soft whine, as if sensing my tension. I reached down to scratch his ears, trying to distract myself. But my mind was racing. What if this video wasn't as harmless as my brother claimed? What if it somehow backfired? An hour later, the views started trickling in. At first, it was just a handful. Family, friends, maybe a few strangers who stumbled across it. But then, suddenly, the numbers jumped. 100 views, 200. Within minutes, the comments section exploded. "OMG, this is crazy," one person wrote. "Is this for real?" said another. My brother's grin widened with every notification. "Told you," he said smugly, spinning around in his chair to face me. "This is going to blow up." But something about the comments didn't sit right with me. I leaned in to read them more closely. They weren't just laughing or praising Max's goofy antics. They were dissecting every little detail, pointing out things I hadn't even noticed. "Look at the way she reacts. It's so fake. Is this staged? There's no way this actually happened." My stomach dropped. "What did you edit into that video?" I demanded, my voice sharper than I intended. My brother's face faltered for a moment, but he quickly recovered. "Nothing bad," he said, shrugging. "Just a little enhancement to make it more interesting." "What kind of enhancement?" I pressed. He hesitated, and that's when I knew he wasn't telling me everything. I shoved past him to grab the mouse and replay the video. At first, it seemed harmless enough. Just me and Max, with my brother's exaggerated narration layered on top. But halfway through, the edits took a strange turn. He'd added sound effects and fake subtitles, twisting the context into something completely different from what actually happened. "What is this?" I asked, my voice shaking. "It's just for fun," he said defensively. "Nobody's gonna take it seriously. They'll know it's a joke." But the comments told a different story. People were debating whether it was real, accusing us of being attention seekers or faking drama for views. Some even started digging into our other videos, trying to piece together who we were. "This isn't a joke, it's a mess," I snapped, my heart pounding. "You made me look like an idiot, and now people think it's real." Before he could respond, his phone buzzed with a notification. He glanced at the screen, and his face went pale. "Uh, you might want to see this," he muttered, handing me the phone. On the screen was a message from someone claiming they had proof of something. My hands trembled as I read it. Whoever this was, they'd taken the video far too seriously, and now they were threatening to expose us for something we hadn't even done. I stared at the message on my brother's phone, my chest tightening with anxiety. The sender claimed they had proof we had staged everything in the video and threatened to expose us unless we responded. It didn't make sense. There was nothing to expose. Sure, my brother had exaggerated the edits, but the video wasn't anything more than a harmless prank. "What did you do?" I asked, my voice low and trembling. My brother shook his head, his confidence finally cracking. "Nothing. I swear I didn't do anything serious. This person is just trying to scare us." But I could see the panic in his eyes. For the first time, it seemed like even he wasn't sure what he'd started. Determined to get to the bottom of it, I grabbed his laptop and opened the video's comments again. That's when I noticed something strange. The threatening message wasn't just in his inbox, it had been posted publicly in the comments, and it was getting likes fast. Worse, people were chiming in, speculating wildly about what we'd done and why. Suddenly, a new notification popped up, a link to a reaction video someone had made. My brother and I watched in stunned silence as a popular creator dissected our video, framing it as part of some bizarre conspiracy. They even claimed our dog Max had been trained to act in ways that manipulated the audience. My brother's face went pale. "I didn't mean for this to happen," he whispered. Before I could respond, Max let out a bark and nudged the laptop, accidentally playing the next clip. The twist? It was an old video of us as kids, uploaded years ago, where we'd pulled a similar prank. Somehow, someone had found it, and now it was going viral too, sparking even more questions than answers. As the old video played, my brother and I sat there, speechless. It was a memory we'd nearly forgotten. Us as kids, using Max's favorite treats to stage a magic trick for our parents. Back then, it had been nothing more than innocent fun, but seeing it resurface now felt surreal. The comments were flooded with mixed reactions. Some people thought it was hilarious that we'd been pulling stunts like this for years. Others accused us of being professional fakers, dragging a childhood memory into the chaos. I turned to my brother, who looked like he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Well," I said, trying to lighten the mood, "at least Max is the star of the show." Max, oblivious as always, wagged his tail and barked, as if agreeing. My brother sighed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said. "I just wanted to make something people would love. I didn't think it would blow up like this, or turn into whatever this is." I nodded, feeling some of the tension finally ease. "You've got to admit, it was a pretty wild ride," I said. "But maybe next time, let's keep it real?" He smiled weakly. "Deal." Over the next few days, the buzz around the videos began to die down. We decided to post a follow-up, explaining that the video was meant to be a lighthearted prank and sharing the story behind the old clip. To our surprise, most people were supportive, even laughing along with us. "Max is the real MVP," one commenter wrote. They weren't wrong. In the end, it was a lesson learned, for both of us. The internet can be unpredictable, but at least we had Max to remind us of what really mattered, staying true to ourselves and, of course, never running out of treats.